take your fears, your insecurities, your worries, you roll them all up into a ball, you turn those son bitches sideways and stick them straight up, then candy out!
Pick your goal and stick fucking to it. You wishy-washy motherfuckers. I can't fucking stand you.
I wanted to make sure that out of the 24 hours of the day, that I don't waste one single hour. Those hours were too precious. And so there I just want to tell people, don't give me this thing, I have a difficult time with the time and I don't have time for this and I don't have that. You have time. You make the time.
And now, welcome to the Be Informed, Live Fit podcast, sponsored by FitnessInformant.com.
What's going on? Welcome inside the Be Informed, Live Fit podcast. I am your host, Fitness Informant founder and CEO, Ryan Buckeye. What a time to be alive, right? 2019 almost finished up. We've done our 2019 Shield of Excellence Supplement Awards here at Fitness Informant. In today's episode, Gerhard comes on. He's our Senior VP of Content here at FI, and myself, and we discuss the winners in each of the following categories: Breakout Brand of the Year, Brand of the Year, Product of the Year, Pre-Workout of the Year, and Protein of the Year. Basically discuss the parameters around the winners and why, justification on why they were winners. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with how the 2019 Shield of Excellence Supplement Awards worked, is we invited the gentlemen from over at Price Plow to contribute and participate. Gerhard, myself, had a vote, and then as well as the people. The people got the vote this year as well, and the collective combination of those votes made up and determined who won in each of the categories. So we hope you guys enjoy this episode. We look ahead at 2020 as well. What is going on in 2020, which is just absolutely crazy to think that 2020 is literally right here. But I couldn't be more excited about 2020. We have a lot of cool stuff that is going to come out through our platform. The biggest thing that I'm super stoked about, obviously, for those of you who are unaware, is we do have our boy Gerhard is going to be a full-time employee as of January 2nd, which means more content here at Fitness Informant. This week's Pumped Up segment of the week is being brought to you by Built Fast Formula's award-winning VasoBlitz Pump Igniter. Not only is VasoBlitz the winner of our 2018 Shield of Excellence Supplement Award, which is last year, we just didn't have that product category this year, for Best Pump Product, is also the first nitrate formula fully disclosed with 30 servings. Not scoops. When VasoBlitz is consumed daily, even on your off days, it will last you a full month. All this for only $34.99. And as a special offer to our listening audience, use coupon code INFORMANT to save 15%. I am pumped up about King's Ransom, our 2019 pre-workout of the year, coming back full-time from Muscle Sport. Muscle Sport, I told Muscle Sport, I said, listen, in order for this to win pre-workout of the year, because it was that good, it has to be available for people to purchase. You can't give a pre-workout of the year award to a pre-workout that no longer exists or no longer for sale. And so Muscle Sport brought back King's Ransom full-time because it was determined that it was the pre-workout of the year from Fitness Informant. So congratulations to Muscle Sport. I'm pumped up that people can now finally officially try King's Ransom if they have not done so already. Big things for the Muscle Sport team. Looking forward to seeing what they're doing in 2020. Our Genius Moment of the Week is being brought to you by the Genius brand. Our Genius brand offers high-quality supplements with scientifically proven, clinically dosed, all-natural ingredients. With a blatant disregard for profit margins, the Genius brand focuses on creating innovative, industry-leading wellness supplements to help you live an active, healthy, and long-lasting life. Supplement smarter today. Check out full reviews of the Genius brand over at FitnessInformant.com. The Genius Moment of the Week. Don't overdo it in the gym, people. I constantly see people post on Instagram or social media channels of just finished my 3-hour workout. Well, if you're in the gym for 3 hours, I really hope you spent an hour and a half of that on your cell phone checking Facebook, because you really don't need 3 hours of a workout time, even if you're working out 3 days a week. Don't try to overcompensate for missing days during the week. An hour, hour and 15, hour and a half is plenty of time to get your lift and get your shit in the gym. So that is my Genius Moment of the Week. Don't do too much. Don't just do another exercise, do another exercise. Your body knows when it's done. Be done. Your body's a smart machine. People take advantage of it and take care of it. Take care of your body. We're going to limit this opening here because I want to get over to Gerhard and me discussing the 2019 Shield of Excellence Supplement Awards. So if you're not following this podcast, make sure you check us out. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify and YouTube. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and TikTok. Our YouTube channel, youtube.com/fitnessinformant TV. Make sure you go there as well. Appreciate the support. If you like what you hear, write us a review. It helps out the algorithm for people to find this podcast more on other platforms. So we would really greatly appreciate that. For now, sit back, tune in, listen to the serenade of Gerhard and I as we talk 2019 and 2020.
Close that damn door. Let's hit these people with some knowledge.
Slap everybody in the ass with some knowledge on Ray's Energy. Fact number 1, we have nootropics added to ours. Alpha GPC and tyrosine. These are active ingredients that actually pass the blood-brain barrier and calls for efficient focus. Next is caffeine.
We're the only energy drink company that uses 2 different forms of caffeine. Caffeine citrate to hit you fast and caffeine anhydrous to hit you slow. Scotty P? Oh, you dropped it. What don't we want?
We don't want wrinkles. Sugar causes wrinkles, and that's what we do not want. We have 0 sugar in our Ray's Energy. We also have the lowest count of sodium out of all the energy drinks on the market. Make sure you stop and pick up your Ray's Energy and demand more.
This is your personal invitation to the Redcon 1 Alpha Team, our new exclusive subscription program. Enjoy members-only access to the Alpha Team apparel collection, priority customer service privileges, early shopping on major deals, exclusive flavor selections, and a whole lot more. This is your opportunity to become a Redcon 1 VIP. There's limited spots available, so go to redcon1.com and sign up today.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome inside the Be Informed, Live Fit podcast. Gerhard Herman, the whore of Fitness Informant.
Herman.
Horman. He claims he's German. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but we'll find out in a couple months when we go to FIBO, which is over in Cologne, Germany. That should be fun. So if you don't speak fluent German while I'm there and you're able to order my food for me because I'm on fucking prep, we're going to have a conversation, my friend.
Beer and bratwurst.
I want that. That's just like Wisconsin 101. But this it's been a hot minute since we've been on. I wanted to get Garrett back on here so we could talk about the 2019 Shield of Excellence Supplement Awards, which are apparently biased. Apparently biased awards that we let the fans vote in this year. But a little bit more breakdown of the winners and a little more discussion of their year in 2019, the products in 2019. And then we're going to take a look at 2020 because it's literally almost 2020. We're 2 weeks away from the new year, and I've heard some rumblings of some really cool stuff within the space. And you'll be full time, so that your ear will be to the ground
Super biased
all the time, and then you'll be the biggest biased motherfucker on the planet. So let's
you still don't pay me enough to not call you out.
Let's talk about the product of the year. Let's start with that. Alpha EAA from NutriBio was elected product of the year in a combination. Just for people listening, there was a fan vote. There was Gerhard and I each had a vote, and then we also invited PricePlow, which is a lot of people out there say it's a competitive website, and sure it is. But we wanted to make sure we had a nice panel of supplement experts. So there's 4 of us between us and PricePlow, and then allow the fans to have a voice too. And each of those votes went towards the winner of the overall category, whatever it was. So Alpha EAA, NutriBio. That was our pick. Like you and I both voted for that one. What did you like? What did you like most about that product?
I actually like the uniqueness. It actually came out really early in the year, and the disadvantage of that was you'd probably forget about it going throughout the year. But it actually stayed in our minds, and I know you used it every day. I only had like about 1 tub of it, but still, it's on my list to buy every time. I just never get around to it. But
yeah, when did they come out? When did they come out? Like I remember we were at the Arnold
early 2019.
Because when we were at the Arnold, they had it on. They had it there to try, correct? And I think they just came out with their strawberry lemon bomb flavor. I believe was like the new flavor at that point, which would have been March.
It was definitely in the first half of the year.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, in the first half of the year, NutriBio did something that nobody else did, and that was release something every week, whether it was a flavor or a standalone, whatever it might be. Alpha, yeah. I mean, but in the pool of products that were like, let's not forget about the products that were also in this category. One of my favorite products, and you actually just got a bunch of this for Black Friday sale, was Inspired Nutraceuticals Greens, which I think is the best greens powder currently on the market today. Right there, yeah. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, it's the best greens powder currently on the market today. I personally believe there's pro and prebiotics in it. I believe is what, and it's just. Overall, it's done well. And you actually, a lot of people probably don't know this about you, G, but you come from the Sprouts world, which for those who aren't familiar with Sprouts, West Coast, sort of like an indoor farmer's market. You can compare it to Whole Foods to some extent, I guess you could. But you worked in that realm, and you had a lot of people come in and always buying some of these supplements that we don't see in our space yet, but now somebody like Chris Waldron and Inspired Nutraceuticals kind of trying to make it more of the norm.
Yeah, a way to be innovative in the sports nutrition space that I've noticed is taking an ingredient from that space and introducing it to the sports nutrition space. Right. And, people have never seen it, but it's already been popular on that side. For instance, chlorella, it's a natural source of chlorophyll. It's good at detoxifying your body. Well, I don't like to use the word detox, but it's good at getting rid of heavy metals in your body, like in your brain. And that was already popular there, so I knew about it, and I almost forgot about it. But then here comes Chris Waldron, and hey, I care about your health, so... you don't see a lot of greens companies in our space actually use chlorella. They usually go with something simple like wheatgrass. Right. So it was nice to see that in there, spirulina as well. So inclusion of ashwagandha at a high dose. So
it's funny you mentioned
a lot of credit.
It's funny you mentioned like that space comes into this space. So case in point, like you mentioned those certain ingredients, but like mushrooms too. Now it's cool in our space to use Pico 2 or lion's mane, which
ashwagandha.
is there's a ton of cool things that happen in that space that's coming here. Redcon won, obviously they didn't win brand of the year this year, but they had some really cool stuff and they're continuing to do cool stuff. Total War RTD, we mentioned this in the preview show. It is the best pre-workout RTD on the market, I think, in my opinion, in terms of it's efficaciously dosed on literally every ingredient in that. You could argue, I think C4 Ultimate may have one as well,
also
right?
A good one as
that's
well.
That's
that
really
came out
good.
a couple years ago, though. So
right, and that's a 16-ounce can. That's carbonated. This is a non-carbonated 12-ounce, and it tastes great. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, they have
tasting.
a non-carbonated one too, actually, in a little plastic bottle. It's just not very popular. Not as popular as their energy drink right now. So
is it dosed as well as
It's dosed very well. It just came out a couple of years ago, so it wasn't for 2019.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean, it was a cool. I mean, you see it like I don't know if you work on I believe Metroflex out by you, right? Is the gym that you work out?
Yep.
Do they have the RTD?
They may have. Actually, I don't think I've seen it there. They have Total War for sure. So
the powder.
I think they did.
Yeah.
No. Well, both Total War and the RTD. So the RTDs sell like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, my gym too. They have the Total War RTDs, and I still see people like I constantly scratch my head when I see people walking around with a bang. Or, even like just a regular C4, even like I love Raise Energy. It's just not a pre-workout. So like when people are drinking this pre-workout, it's like, why aren't you using a Total War? Like this should be drank to keep yourself awake at 5 a.m. when you take your parents to the airport. Like that's when you should be taking a Raise Energy like yourself, G.
Thanks.
But, so Ghost Burn, another cool product in 2019. It was top-rated fat burner for Fitness Informant. Really good, thermogenic, done very nice. This is what I find great about this particular product is a lot of people either love or they hate Ghost, it seems like. And a lot more love than hate, for sure. But from the haters, what they'll say is like, it's just a cool brand with cool labels and cool marketing and cool YouTube channel, but the products aren't that great. Well, what are you talking about? Like Ghost Burn is formulated phenomenal. Like I will say, like I've told this to Dan and Ryan before, like Legend needs an update. Like the pre-workout Legend needs an update, and they know that, and they're going to do that. But overall, the brand, including this SKU, it's done very well.
Besides complaining about the beta-alanine dose in Ghost, which I think is kind of overdone these days, all their products, just look at Pump, it's dosed nearly perfectly in every ingredient. Until Chris Waldron came in, it was had the highest dose of arginine nitrate,
right?
To my knowledge. What else do they have? Size is dosed pretty well, in my opinion. 5 grams of creatine from 2 sources.
Fully transparent creatine, which you've not seen anywhere else, which is cool.
True. So they know what they're doing. They also have transparent protein, which people were complaining about for a long time. They do it.
Right.
So
yeah, and then the last one we had here was from Core Nutritionals, Bollock. It was the first time that we've seen Laxogen and Pico 2 put together. It made sense. Now it's interesting to see if that product is going to continue forward, given that the FDA has thrown Laxogen in on the dietary supplement ingredient advisory list. We get a ton of questions on that over at FI. So let me just preface this by saying, like, Laxogen, to our knowledge, is safe. Is it effective? It's up for debate. The studies are limited at best, but that's to say, like, most of the ingredients in this space lack clinical studies and lack decent human trials. They're done on rodents. They're done on bovine tissue. No companies are funding studies at the university anymore because they're too fucking expensive. So you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. Like Doug Miller is a very interesting guy in terms of I respect the hell out of him. And I think for a while he didn't necessarily believe in laxogen either until he tried it himself and he started using it. And that's the only reason that it was in Corbolic is because he believed in it. And then you got a guy like Mark Lobliner, who I also equally respect, thinks it's a trash ingredient. So it's very interesting to see two people in this space who are very well respected have different points of view on an ingredient. And these guys both have very well respected dietary nutrition like supplement brands. And like I
agree.
Yeah, I mean we've reviewed plenty of laxogen products over there. I think the studies that are out there are promising. I'm not sold on it, but I think the reason why it's on this dietary advisory list is because of one, the way we market it. I mean, it's marketed as a plant steroid, which it is. It literally is a plant steroid, but like people misperceive what that means. It's not an anabolic steroid. If it was, you'd be fucking huge when you took Halo from Redcon 1. You don't get huge. You might put on a little bit of size and strength, but not like some of the stuff that floats out there. So I think that the right choice was made in product of the year for Alpha EAA. It's simple and it's effective, and it's what I like about it the most, I think, is that they made it affordable because you look at that formula with 600 milligrams of Alpha GPC, you have KSM 66, you have your full spectrum EAA, you have taurine. Like, it should be more expensive. And Mark Laser and team made it affordable for consumers to buy it, and that's why I have like 7 tubs coming because I ran out. So super stoked about that.
I'll send one over here, man.
I can do that. I can do that. I'll give you grape though because you're a grape guy and I'm not much of a grape guy.
Very
so
true.
let's talk about breakout brand of the year because this one was fun. Each of the brands listed in breakout brand of the year for FI this year, all obviously worthy. We'll first talk about the winner in Alpha Line. I think Alpha Lion. First off, how did you ever hear about Alpha Line? I'm interested because I have my story. I heard about them and I want to hear yours because I think you knew about them before they came on FI.
Yeah, their ads, what was it? Built like thousands of pre-workout tubs in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of took my eye. At first, I was kind of like, okay, this is kind of cringy to me, but it was still like, it had my attention, so it was there. And then once you actually look at the products, you actually like, you get quite impressed. At least
Right.
I was impressed with them. So
I loved how you said that.
Still, the market was kind of like whatever to me, but I can't deny that the products are good. So
I love how you said that because I discovered them via marketing as well, Facebook ads. I mean, they and typically when you have a brand spending that kind of money on advertisements, like the products are watered down, they might not be as effective. I mean, they're a margin-based business that wants to make a ton of money. And then when you start to look into them and you look at, even though Superhuman had DMHA, which was now coming out, even like Komodo Pump, like they're great formulas. Now, I mean, if every ingredient on those formulas are in that product as they're supposed to be, and I'm sure they are. Like they're doing awesome stuff. They have really creative, cool marketing, cool names like Cherry Popper, and like just some of these funny ass names. Like what's the Christmas flavor again? You take
Santa
it daily.
sauce.
Yeah, Santa sauce.
Kringle candy.
Kringle candy. Strawberry
Very
cheesecake. Unique. Super
Very
unique.
unique.
But they've done everything right, and I think they blew up this year. They found themselves in the retail more on. They just signed a deal with bodybuilding.com. Whether you love that, hate that for the brand, that's huge. To even bodybuilding.com gets a lot of shit. Like, there's still a huge platform in retail in terms of from dietary supplements. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. For those of you listening or watching thinking that Alpha Lion sold out because they removed DMHA, you need to check yourself because DMHA technically shouldn't be used in any product really at this point. So, I mean, I like it. I like it. I think you like it too.
Ingredient.
But I think for you to put all your faith in a brand because of a single ingredient is just that's not loyalty to begin with.
Not at all. Yeah. Don't have more to add to that. Sorry.
I was going to say, I've seen the updated formulas for Superhuman and for Cheetah. They're still good. So nobody has to worry. They're actually more expensive formulas than what they had before. So I think everybody can sleep okay. Briefly on Outright Bar, Mark Levine has done something really cool. Like, he's done really cool, really good stuff with this thing. A lot of flavors. I mean, in terms of, if you think of the most popular protein bars in our space, what are the top 3 that come to mind for you?
Quest, Metrics, maybe. What else is there? I mean, I guess I would say Outright Bar for me.
Right. And
because I buy them twice a week.
Yeah, and you said for me it's MRE Bar from Redcon 1, Quest, and Outright Bar. Those are the 3 that come to mind. But then you have your 1 bars, which were huge once upon a time. I mean, the Metrics bars, which are great if you need a bunch of calories. They're phenomenal. They taste phenomenal. But Outright has has crept up, become they sell out consistently. They have new flavors, and they're more than just a bodybuilding bar. Like if you look at the packaging, that bar can be found at a Holiday gas station, or what do you have up by you? 7-Elevens? I don't even know what's in San Diego.
7-Eleven,
Yeah.
Arco.
Right. They can be found in a C-store. And like Mark says, a soccer mom can go in and buy this stuff, and it doesn't fit the bodybuilding world. Like Metrex is a bodybuilding bar, you know. I mean, MRE, I love Aaron Singerman, I love Redcon One, but that's a bodybuilding bar. It's branded with the dark wrapper. Outright is branded enough to at least pertain to a wider audience.
Some nice, colorful packaging.
Yeah, and they're good. They're so good.
They're really good.
They're really good.
Great.
This one, I'm drinking it. Raise Energy had a really cool year, too. They did some stuff within the RTD or the energy drink category that you don't see very often. Limited edition flavor over the 4th of July holiday. And I'm blanking on the name of the can right now. Freedom. Is it Freedom something? Apollo.
Yes.
Apollo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that came out on the 4th of July. I loved it. I thought it tasted good. Voodoo for Halloween. And then they're just increasing their distribution. Got into, I think, every GNC that has a refrigerator. So they're trying to figure out what's tough about the canned stuff. G, you know this too from working at a GNC. Like they're tough to ship. They're expensive to ship to people.
You're shipping around a bunch of water.
Yeah.
In volume.
Right.
It's heavy. It takes up space, and there's not a lot of profit off of it anyway.
Yeah.
So,
and people are gonna say, well, you're biased because they're the official energy drink of Fitness Informant. Well, I have tried every energy drink on the market, and I will say, like, I have not tried the Christian Guzman, the 3D ones. I heard they're really good. I've never had them.
I'm not a fan of those. I've actually tried them. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had them. I'm a fan of America Energy. I think Doug Miller and Patrick over there have a good RTD or have a good energy drink there. I'm not a big fan of Bang. Like, there's a couple flavors of Bang that I like. Like, I'm not a Bang hater. I just think that people put too much shit in the Bang, thinking it's like this amazing alternative to soda when it's not. Great marketing. And I'm never going to fault Jack for making $1 billion company. Good for him. But for me, in terms of like the best tasting, smoothest, not overcarbonated, like Ray's is the best that I've had. So until somebody comes out and challenges them, like I'm not being biased or anything. Like this right here, the Hulk Hogan can, the Pink Starburst, your favorite, I think. We tried that at the Arnold.
Drink of all time right now.
It's delicious. It's delicious. And I need them to come out with more flavors, and I'm sure they will as they continue their quest and climb in 2020. Gasperi, a lot of people ask, like, why did they make the list? They were dead. They were sort of revived. They've rebranded. They're all back under Rich's sort of ownership, which is really cool. That's the biggest thing. And, like, you brought this brand up. Like, this was your idea when we did nominations. You said, what about Gasperi? And I didn't think about it because they're not.
You kind of laughed at first, actually.
Right.
I had to explain it to you, you know?
I just didn't think of it. But you're absolutely right. Like, they came back on the map quickly. They came out with Proven Egg, Bone Broth, Proven Whey. Like, they have their EAA product. It's all good stuff. And it's not the Gasperi that people are used to. It's not this hardcore supplement brand. It's this functional health dietary supplement brand that's trying to be broader than just like the hardcore meatheads of the world.
No more pro hormones. It's kind of like aged with Rich. They still kept their core products like Sizon and Super Pump Max. However, they're also expanding to care more about your actual health and longevity.
Right.
Like with Bone Broth, for instance. So, good on them. And I thought they were out, especially with the bankruptcy and everything else Rich went through, as he explained in your podcast. So, but now that he's back, he's, it's looking like he's growing pretty well. So, it's nice to see them back.
Yeah, it's great. I love the fact that his passion is back and he's ready to roll. And at that point, your passion has to be back because now you're solely responsible for all the financials. So you don't really have a choice to not have the passion. Last one on this one was Rise Supplements. They had Project Blackout come out in the summer. Listen, had they done a couple more things, like we're testing this new protein bar for the brand. They sent me these new protein bars, very similar to the Outright bars. Had those come out in 2019, and some of the other ideas that Nick and team have over there, they probably would have been done enough to be considered to win this award. I think they done enough to be a nomination. They didn't do enough to win it. And Nick knows that. And Nick has a 2020 that he's been texting me about. He said, you guys are going to love what we have coming in 2020. I've tried the protein bars. Really good stuff. I like the Project Blackout in 2019. I feel like it was a consumer confusion a little bit because they came out with a black pre and a black pump that aren't supposed to be put together. The black pump is supposed to go with the white pre, and that needs to be explained to the consumer. So I think if they'd done things a little bit differently, they probably could have more success. But the good news is they had the biggest Black Friday ever. I love Nick. I think he's a passionate dude. He's our age. I mean, it's crazy to see he's younger than me, actually. I think he might be your age. and their supplements aren't bad. They're good stuff. Like I like their pre-workout.
Yeah. A lot of respect for him there. Meeting him, he's actually a really strong guy, and you wouldn't be able to tell from his size. Actually,
I know.
That's not a knock on him either. So, and now that he has nitrates in his products, it's really hard to knock him.
Yeah, nitrates are great. We love nitrates here at F5. Let's talk protein of the year real quick. This was the most difficult category. Admittedly, like for all of us here, not just Gerhard and I, not just the guys at Price Plow, I think the fans too, super hard. And it really came down to, there was 5 really good proteins. We had Inspired Nutraceuticals Protein Plus, which I know that you're a big fan of. I'm a big fan of it as well. Gasperi Proven Egg. You could even toss in Alpha Lion's Goatine, really, to be honest with you, but it just didn't do enough in sales, I don't think. NutriBio's Breakfast Series Whey Protein Isolate, which did phenomenal. But it really came down to 2. And not that I want to, right there, yeah, right in front of you. It came down to 2. It came down to Muscle Sports Lean Whey, the Unicorn Cookie Shake, and the Ghost Whey Chips Ahoy. And they were the front runners by and large. And again, not to take anything away from the other 3, but we're going to spend most of our time talking on these 2 and explain. And Dan knows this, and Ryan knows this at Ghost, and why they didn't win this award, why they didn't earn this award. Had Ghost not had the mess up with the first production batch of Ghost Chips Ahoy, which is not their fault. It was not their fault. It was just an oversight that they didn't realize, like the cookie pieces were ground up within the protein powder, giving it kind of a weird off taste for consumers.
Slightly like coffee, some people were explaining.
Right. And that was the first tub that I got. And I was like, you know what? I heard Ben from Price Plow say it's the greatest tasting protein he's ever had. And I texted him, I go, the greatest tasting protein you ever had? Like, really? But I had one of the bad ones. And I was just like, on my video, I said, well, it's good. It's not the best ever. It was still good. It was still tolerable. But once they got that right, it was 20 times better. Like, it was what it was supposed to be.
Probably would have won, to be honest.
And I think Jason and Greg over at Muscle Sport know that too. Had Chips Ahoy gone off the way it was supposed to, it sold out in 9 minutes. GNC's grabbed a bunch of it. Ghost Chips Ahoy would have won this. And I think, it's funny, after Dan won the brand of the year, he texted me, he said, I'm pissed because if I didn't have 2 mishaps this year, I would have won 2 more of your awards, and that being protein and the pre-workout of the year, which we'll talk about next. But even after the mishap, it was still hard because the impact that Chips Ahoy had within the space, having that type of licensing agreement, is something that you can't just overlook. It's the most impressive licensing licensing deal in our space.
Gives us more legitimacy in this space. That's probably the biggest thing out there too. I actually had 2 tubs of Chips Ahoy myself. I bought one off the sale, and Dan sent me one, and I got them mixed up. But one was actually good. The other one was that off-flavor taste. So maybe if I had tried the good one first, I probably would have had a different opinion to start off. So
absolutely, but in their defense, they rectified the situation. They replaced everybody's tubs at no cost to the consumer. They excelled at customer service. In terms of flavor, I still, even with the Ghost Chips Ahoy, the better version, I still do prefer the Unicorn Cookie Shake flavor personally. But again, taste is subjective, and it's cool. I've been texting with Jason over at Muscle Sport about future protein ideas, and he's got like a list of things he wants to come out with. So it'll be really cool to see what they come out with. But both obviously in the front run, but we're right there. Muscle Sports ended up winning, and it really came down to like the last. I mean, you and I were talking about like flipping a coin, like how do we pick who wins this, And then we had a final discussion really before the announcement that day. Like literally, we made the decision that day because this one was that close, and it came down to that for Muscle Sport. Speaking of Muscle Sport, let's hop into the pre-workout of the year. They won with their Muscle Sport Rhino King's Ransom. This is a funny story for our listeners. Like, Gerhard is going into this voting process trying King's Ransom for one time in his life. Literally one time. He
twice.
Has twice.
Two
Excuse me. Lou, your boy Lou over at your gym, who's an ambassador for the brand, hooked you up, I think, the first time, and then you tried it in Vegas, maybe, for the Olympia. I texted Muscle Sport and I said, hey, bro, if you want any kind of votes on this, you need to make sure Gerhard tries it, because you can't vote for something you don't know what it's like. Like, you can't, even the fans out there, if fans voted for King's Ransom and never try it, like, you're a liar. You lied, people. Like, you're biased at that point. Greg overnighted you 2 containers, both open, and gave you a good trial run.
Yeah, catch me out when I opened them. You never told me.
Right. And it was great. And that's why, like, honestly, like, full transparency, that's why Price Plow didn't vote for Rhino, because they didn't get a chance to try it. And and good for them to vote the way that they did. But had you not been able to try it, you literally can't vote for it. But I've had every pre-workout on this list, and they're all very good. And it was very hard because they're all different pre-workouts too. None of them are similar per se. Rhino King's Ransom, which is now back full time, thanks to winning this award, which is cool. That shows the impact of the awards. Is back full time. It was tough because I like Build Fast Formulas Full Blitz too. I think it's a great simple formula with nitrates, something you had just talked about.
High dose of DMAE.
Yep.
A little bit of yohimbine to give you that sweat. Clinical dose of beta-alanine.
Yeah.
Not much to complain. It was very simple, very straightforward. Also worthy of winning, but for this one I have to give to King's Ransom.
I still use Full Blitz when I can, and I use King's Ransom all the time. Another one, Alpha Lion Superhuman Supreme. I use that on like leg days or days that's gonna be tough. Here's why I couldn't, in good faith, pick that as the winner, because it's got DMHA for two reasons. One, I knew DMHA it's going to come out of the products at some point. It's hard to give the nod to a pre-workout of the year that isn't necessarily compliant, right? Because that kind of goes against what we stand for at F5, but it's also a pre-workout that I don't believe you should be taking every single day. I don't think any pre-workout with a high amount of stims, DMHA, if DMAA is still out there, should be taken every single day. That to me, that's the reason why I couldn't vote that way. I just couldn't look at that and say, like, listen, I love Superhuman Supreme. I do. I love it on days in which I use it. I would never use it daily.
I can't even. I have to like back off on the Santa sauce because I've been using Santa sauce a lot. It has 200 milligrams of DMHA, and as much as I love the pre and I love the flavor, it's very unique. It works great. I just can't get like in my head. I know if I keep on using this much DMHA every workout, I'm just gonna need it.
Right.
So I could, for the same reason, even though I didn't even use it before the vote, if I had, I still wouldn't be able to vote for it for that reason.
And then just kind of give a nod here, the Core Nutritionals Peak X. It was the only non-stim on this list. Big fan of the non-stim stuff. I mean, what we don't understand as a supplement consuming society is like it's okay to take a non-stim. Like you should take a non-stim. And the only reason like guys like Gerhard and I aren't taking non-stims is because we have so many fucking stim-based pre-workouts that we need to try and review for this brand that we don't necessarily get a chance to take them. But it's a great non-stim. And then Performax Hypermax Extreme in my top 5 personally.
Strongest one on the list.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't even used it yet. However, I kind of put it in the nomination just for the profile and the feedback I have gotten on it.
You haven't used it? Aaron West, if you're listening to this, attention, Gerhard. He's just down the road from you. Drop off a thing of Hypermax Extreme. Let him try it. This is the flip side of the conversation we just had. Not the flip side, but like the same side of the conversation we just had with Superhuman Supreme. This does not have DMHA, but it has 400 milligrams of caffeine, and it has 400 milligrams of PEA. It has hordenine. It has 250 milligrams of urea gerensis. Like this is another pre-workout that's super strong that I don't necessarily recommend you take it daily. So it is extreme, and so like that type of pre-workout, I don't want people burning out their shit and becoming, sort of not addicted to caffeine, but like. Yeah, addicted to some extent, but
addicted to wanting that feel, like chasing that dragon.
Right, chasing that high, and that's not necessarily what you're supposed to be doing with a pre-workout. So I love it. I love it again sparingly, very much like Superhuman Supreme. That's why people who get pissed off about DMHA getting removed, look at Hypermax Extreme. It hits just as hard, and you'll find this out because I'll make sure you get a tub. Yeah, so
sure it does.
And then to wrap up the first half of the show here, as we go into brand of the year, this was also another difficult one for me personally because I think I look at some metrics that a lot of people that vote don't look at, and that is, I said when we went into this vote, I said we have to look at dollar volume growth and distribution growth, not just like what we see on social media and what we covered at F5. Because if you look at Ghost took it home, well deserved. I don't think anybody I think it wasn't like unanimous because the fans voting and us, but like it was pretty clear that they were the choice for brand of the year. Authentic licensing deals, cool flavors, cool brand. They didn't have distribution gains per se in the States because everybody knows that they're through their website and GNC. But they're very humble about their dollar volume. I know they make a ton of fucking money over at Ghost. They just don't talk about it. But those are things like we know. So I mean, Ghost had a great year, and they almost won it in 2018. This year they kind of went over the edge. It would have been nice had they not had those mishaps, but the way that they rectified those situations showed that brand is set up for longevity, and they care about the consumer. And the fact that they came out with products that were innovative, good formulas. They did everything right this year in terms of earning that award.
The one thing that Ghost does that that other companies don't do as well or at all is they're very good. They've created this thing where you feel included into it.
Right.
Like at the San Diego Fit Expo last year, they were handing out wristbands to one of their, they like to party at clubs. That's them.
Do they?
VIPs.
Do they really?
Do they? I don't know. Never been.
I wouldn't know
they
anything
were
about
handing out
that.
Wristbands for like a free entry into, what was it, the Park nightclub down in San Diego last year. And you can see them, you can kind of party with them if you got a chance. So they're really good at making you feel inclusive with their membership. Those little, those little cards that you get in the things with the codes.
Mm-hmm.
Say something like sushi, cheese,
Right.
whatever on there. So they've definitely hit that great. So even if you don't know Dan, you still feel like you do.
Right. And I think the biggest thing, and we talked about this in the write-up and at fitnessinformant.com when they won, is like you had a multitude of brands that try to imitate them in 2019. And not just like here in the States, but like I think there's a brand called Sneak. I think it's like a foreign brand. They went as far as like copying the tubs to make the scoop sit on top, just like Ghost does. And like they imprinted, not saying like this is Ghost's property, but like when you go that far to do the same things, like you're doing something. You're impacting the industry in a way in which people are trying to grab a slice of that pie that you just create. Ghost created this slice of pie that people want to be a part of now. So brands are, they're rebranding, they're doing things that are very similar to what Ghost had done and has been doing for a long time. And that just shows like people respect, and Dan and Ryan and Ghost might think like it's a slap in the face, and sure, maybe to some extent it might be, but at the same time, like that also shows the impact that you've made in the industry, that people want to imitate you and they want part of the pie that you created. So that was a huge thing in my decision for brand of the year, in that, people, don't get me wrong, people want to be Redcon 1 too. Like, trust me, they would love to have Aaron's checkbook, and they would love to have Redcon 1's checkbook. And that brand's an $80 million brand, one of the fastest growing brands in the history of sports nutrition. Like, Redcon was right there in the conversation to take home brand of the year too. Like, don't get us wrong. They did a lot of cool stuff in 2019. Their distribution growth was through the roof. They opened a gym, they had a lot of cool stuff. Which was fun to see. NutriBio launching a product every Friday for the first 26 weeks. No brand's done that. We talked about this internally.
Flavor improvements.
Yes.
And with Alpha EAA, they actually showed that they can be innovative.
Yeah,
So
and that was we did talk about that internally, just transparency for those listening. Like Alpha or NutriBio came out with a couple new products in 2019. We would have liked to see just a little bit more in terms of new innovation, not necessarily just a standalone Alpha GPC or Yohimbi product, but maybe like an altogether new product, right? And not to take anything away from what they did. And I had a phone conversation with Mark Glazer, who owns NutriBio, and he had no issues with Ghost winning because he mentioned exactly what you just said before, G. Like, they brought legitimacy to our space, because when venture capitalists look to buy brands, they're going to look to brands like Ghost, who has authentic licensing deals that legitimizes the sports nutrition industry. So, I mean, that's coming from a guy in the same category who respected the decision. Muscle Sport, Genius Brand both had really good years too. Muscle Sport obviously took home 2 titles in the individual products. And then Genius Brand, obviously came out with a bunch of new distribution in 2019. So let's take a quick break, come back, and then do a rundown of our, not necessarily predictions for 2020, but like what we're looking forward to, because we could talk early brand of the year nominees in 2019 for 2020. I have a list of brands that I think are going to do absolutely phenomenal in 2020 based on what I know. So we'll be right back after this.
For the last 2 decades, we have been the best kept secret of the supplement industry. We've kept our heads down and worked. We pioneered full label transparency and full therapeutic doses because we believe that truly hard work requires truly effective tools. 2 decades is a long time to commit to one pursuit, but when you act with purpose and become centered in yourself, eventually you realize that you were born and bred for this. The things you once thought impossible, you now do every day. We don't like the easy way, it just doesn't feel right. We'll take the long, hard road over a shortcut any day. It takes longer, sure, but in the end, you know you earned it. And with the right team behind you, pushing yourself further than you've ever been would be just another afternoon doing what you love most.
I've spent most of my life chasing what's termed as unattainable. An obstacle in my path, I torment it. Any limitation trying to control my environment, I tame it. Any excuses, I transform into commitments. The haters, they're too small for me to even see. For 28 months before Cage Muscle even released, I broke myself against the will to identify, track, test, and trial the ultimate resources available in human existence to bring you something the world has never seen. Change is upon us. Don't justify your complacency. Evolve with me. Part animal, part machine. I'm Chris Gethin, and I am Cage Muscle.
Sonic Cherry Limeade, one of our top selling flavors.
Drizzle Cookie Cup.
Back in Vegas. This is so wrong.
Let's get this built for you and go from there.
There she is, holding in all of her glory.
Kitchen, kind of chill area.
Real trip down memory lane today.
So what are we eating, boys? Brussels sprouts?
It's not a game, kids.
All right, welcome back inside the Be Informed Live Fit podcast. As now we look ahead to 2020. The way too early predictions for 2020 awards. No, we won't go that far, but we're going to talk about 2020 and what we expect to see within this industry. And I'll start, G. I expect to see more functional health products come to market in 2020 because I feel like that's, for a while, it was like high stim, high stim, high stim. And how many milligrams of caffeine can you use and what exotic stims can you put in here? But I think thanks to platforms like us and other platforms educating consumers, like touting the benefits of functional health in some of these products, like you get guys like Chris Waldrum, and you're going to have Ghost come out with some stuff, I bet you, in 2020, and other brands across the spectrum that's more functional health and not just burning out your central nervous system with all these stimulants.
I agree. I think you already kind of see it with some brands. We have my early brand, well, not brand of the year, but a brand that I think is going to do a lot is going to be MFit, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're already starting to add like CBD to their products, or as they call it, let's see here, full spectrum microencapsulated European hemp oil for legal reasons.
Right, exactly.
So, you know, you're already seeing people do it and try to promote, you know, more for like longevity. So,
and I like that. I like it. It's going to take a plethora of information, or like a lot of education from us and from other platforms like us to like I'm saying, if a consumer goes and they buy a pre-workout and that pre-workout is really formulated around a singular ingredient, say lion's mane of an ingredient, which is a cognitive enhancing mushroom, they're going to be so confused. They're going to be like, why is it not built around DMHA, or why is it not built around caffeine and synephrine and all these things? Like, it's going to be up to platforms like us to explain to the consumer like why these ingredients have been selected and the benefits of these certain ingredients, which we do. We already do that. But I think we need to broaden our perspective as consumers and think like there is more to this space, a lot more to this space than just what we've been accustomed to.
You don't need 400 milligrams of caffeine to have a good workout.
Exactly. You don't. I mean, I look at like MFit, you just mentioned them. They have a pre-workout Havoc and it's 200 milligrams of caffeine. Some people will look at that and like just sneeze at it and be like, I'm not going to use that. Why? I mean, you can get.
I'm actually intrigued by that
nowadays,
to be honest. You know, that makes me want to go out and grab it if I didn't have 1,000 pre-workouts here.
Right. I mean, you look at it, 200 milligrams of caffeine, and then you think to yourself, like, you have two thought processes. One is this is a shitty pre-workout, which is what a lot of people think. Or two, in our case, me and you, it's like, well, what else are they giving me? Like, what else is in here making this awesome? And you look and you have 2 grams of Pico 2 and some of these other really cool new ingredients that are coming to market, and you realize, like, okay, this should be good. Like, you don't need a big jolt of a caffeine high to get your workout in. So I think MFit's gonna have a great year. I think for me, like, I think Ghost is gonna have another great year in 2020. Like, we've seen some sneak peeks of things that they've sent us via like IG photos that we can't necessarily speak about, but they have a lot of cool stuff in the works. That'll kind of not necessarily take the industry by surprise. I think what they're playing is to be expected, or at least we expect it to kind of come from a brand like Ghost. Redcon, we can talk about Redcon again. Like Aaron has, I think Aaron's pissed. I'll be honest with you. I think Aaron's pissed he didn't win the award or earn the award. So he's like, there's a fire lit underneath Aaron, and he's like, and I told Aaron, I go, win it next year. We'll buy you 2 titles, so that way you and Eduardo can run around the warehouse down there in Boca. But they obviously have the MRE Light RTD coming. We know that. We've seen it on their IG stories. They've tested it. They have the base rate. That will launch in 2020. That could change the protein RTD game. I mean, if you think about protein RTD, you have what? Muscle Milk, Premier Protein, and then you have Isopure, which sucks. No offense, but it sucks. So like...
There's Carnivore, which tastes really, really bad, apparently, from what I remember. So,
but
there's not a lot.
What
That's
Aaron,
the only animal-based protein I can think of.
What Aaron already has to his advantage is distribution. Like, he's in gas stations, right, with MRE Bar. So now he comes in with this MRE Light RTD that gets put next to Muscle Milk. You don't know what could happen. That could steamroll pretty quick. So I think that NutriBio now has a new marketing director over there, which is big because they've like literally never had a marketing guy. So that's just to say like their brand can be exposed to thousands and millions of people that have not been exposed to NutriBio before, which then will force them to potentially go back to the drawing board, maybe reformulate some products, come out with some new stuff. They obviously have their Ethics line, which is a brick and mortar exclusive, coming out at some point in 2020, I would think, because they've been working hard on that. They've always been in the conversation pretty much as one of the top tier brands for brand of the year. I know last year, not so much because they were very quiet. I can't see Mark Glazer and team following up 2019 just with a dud of the year. I mean, I think that
I expect their marketing director to go like spearhead this.
Yeah,
really
I think that they've tasted like they like what they experienced. It was a lot of work, but I think they like that type of noise around the brand, and they want to be involved in the conversation every year. So I definitely think that they have some really cool stuff coming. And people listening to this are like, these are just the same brands you mentioned this year. Well, I mean, you can look at there's like Gasperi could have a big year, Alpha Line could have a big year with their bodybuilding.com. Other brands like
Inspired's one that's going to come to mind if Chris keeps it up, if he can keep that innovation going. Hopefully he doesn't run out of ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that dude sleeps. So, I mean, he's probably got plenty of ideas to keep the brand.
Muscle Sport's probably going to come out with some flavors that we can't ignore.
Yeah, I mean, Muscle Sport and their umbrella brands between Kodiak and Purge and Optitune. I mean, they have a ton of brands over there. It's not even to say like some of these big players could be in the conversation too. Like we've talked about earlier last year, like Muscle Tech was doing some cool stuff that they're big enough that they can afford to do some of this cool stuff. Or a company like Optimum Nutrition, who is vertically integrated. Like they own an R&D team. They own like the cows and stuff in Ireland or wherever they're at, for their whey protein. Like they own the whole system. So like they're able to do some things economically to their advantage that they could potentially look at some of these smaller brands and say, let's start doing some of this stuff. Let's create a new division, or let's create a small wing here in this building in Chicago, and let's let people go nuts. I mean, not to say that they don't need to, but it would be cool to see a brand like Optimum Nutrition come out with something really fucking cool next year, and just take that stigma that people they walk into Costco and they see Gold Star and they're like, oh great, this has got to be a shitty protein because it's at Costco. Well, is it a shitty protein because it's at Costco, or does this brand own literally every step in the fucking process that they can control? And they're also like the biggest producer of protein in the world. So it costs them nothing to do this.
There's a reason they've been number one on bodybuilding.com for over a decade now.
Yeah.
For protein. So I expect more greatness from them, or more consistency from them. I don't like to use the word clean, but clean formulas would probably be. Another one I like to mention too, I think Alpha Line's going to kill it this year, especially with the way they name flavors. They have that cool factor with them too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say similar to Ghost, but they know how to like name their products well.
Yeah, they're definitely not they're not similar to Ghost at all. But I mean, they make noise and they market well.
They pop well, kind of like Ghost.
They cherry pop very well off the page. So another one too, Rise. I think actually they were in the breakup brand of the year. Just speaking with Nick and team over there and trying the protein bars that they sent me, trying some new EAAs that they sent me, trying some other products that they sent me. Like they are ready to do a lot of product launches in 2020. That doesn't necessarily mean they're brand of the year, worthy, because you do product launches. They have to be successful product launches. But it's a brand, and it's a guy that's driven. Like we had Nick on this podcast, and he said he looks to Aaron Singerman and Redcon 1 as like, as like inspiration. Like he wants that. I mean, if he is as hungry as Aaron Singerman, I mean, the sky's the limit because Aaron is obviously hungrier than most in this space. So, I mean, there's a lot of brands that I'm excited for. Like Performax Labs, too, is a brand that we work with periodically. They just don't have the sex appeal, but they have the products there. So it'll be cool to see if they do some neat stuff in 2020. I mean, do you think there's going to be any shocks in 2020? I mean, not to say like, oh, the FDA is going to come in and they're going to say, you know what, caffeine limits at 400 milligrams, which I'll be fully honest right now. Like, I don't have an issue if we have to limit some caffeine intake if the shit gets too crazy. I don't like government involvement in anything, but if it's going to continually be okay to put 700-800 milligrams of this shit, like, irritates me.
We're
But I mean,
definitely going to see DMHA go away very soon. There's that. SARMs are going to be taken off the market, so there's going to be less sketchiness.
Yep.
You know, let's see what brands that used to sell SARMs actually really get the hammer on them.
Right.
You know?
Dude, I guess a brand I didn't mention, I'm wearing their hat right now, is they reached out to me and they have a ton of stuff planned for 2020. And it's a brand that you don't hear a lot from. And Cage Muscle and Chris Gethin admittedly says, like, we like to move slow. It sounds like they're going to start moving a little bit faster in 2020 and come out with not just flavor extensions, but they're coming out with totally new product formulations. I was kind of filled in on a couple things coming out in January, February that I'll get to talk about soon enough, which will be really cool from the brand. But these are just things that you don't necessarily expect from the brand. When Cage Muscle first came out on bodybuilding.com, like, it was huge. And then it's been kind of quiet. You know, they've had the same formula pre-caged for several years. I think they reformulated it once or twice. Nothing too crazy, though. So it'll be interesting to see if they do some different stuff to kind of get back in the conversation to get up there. Because they are a top quality brand. Like, they are a good brand for sure.
Unfortunately, with our attention spans dwindling, you kind of have to change your formula every 6 months, it seems like, in this space. And I feel like good brands tend to like do their best not to. Like Performax, you mentioned, they're keeping Hypermax Extreme. They could have gotten rid of that already, come up with a new formula, would have got our attention, but they're still there, still on a lot of people's top lists, including ours. So, you know, go on.
No, that, I mean, I agree. I think it's hard because like 2020 is almost here. We haven't had like in-depth conversations with our strategic partners yet, but I know 2019 was a great year. It was fun to cover everything this year, and next year I'm sure we're gonna be even more busy. You know, with more brands coming into the fold. There's all these new brands being created, which we don't really discuss very often. But we work with a lot of small brands here at FI, and they do some really cool stuff. But they just don't have the spending power to get out there in front of everybody. So like we get the luxury of discovering some of these brands that most people don't, and it's like they'll probably never be in the conversation for brand of the year. I mean, at least not anytime soon. But they could bring some cool, unique formulas into the space that, you know, like, a brand that we haven't worked with. I'll just mention like Morphogen Nutrition for Ben, right? They're great products. We haven't been able to work with them yet, but he does some stuff like, I call his brand like the kitchen sink brand. Like he gives you everything plus the kitchen sink in those products. Does he need to do that? No.
Everything affordable too.
Yeah.
It's too good of a company.
And that's the choice that he has made, and I respect it. And he has agreed to be like, you know what, I'm going to take less money from this company, and I'm going to help the consumer. So there are brands out there that are like, or even like Leica Pro from Jeff Long, another great brand. We haven't had the luxury of working with. So there are a lot of brands out there that I still want to work with, and we get hit up, every day from people. Some brands are like, yeah, we'd like to work with them. A lot of brands are like, no. So, just to touch on like, do we work with everybody? No, we don't work with everybody at all. We are very selective on who we work with, and that's by design. That's by design. So
have a good reason for us to support you.
Exactly.
It's that.
100%. And every brand that we worked with here in 2019 was fun. It was cool. It was a good year. I think the right people and the right products and the right brands won the awards this year. Next year could be. I hope next year. I mean, for the sake of the industry, I hope it's as hard as that protein category was this year. But I hope that they make it easier on us because that was a tough one to do. And just overall, these awards are never easy to do because you're inevitably going to piss somebody off. But I think if you're a brand owner listening to this and you didn't win the award this year, don't be pissed off about it. Look at it as an opportunity. Like, what can I do to be better for 2020? And what do we need to do as a brand to evolve and to catapult into that number one spot in the eyes of FI, the eyes of Price Plow, because they were part of it, in the eyes of the consumer. And I think that's the way you need to look at it. Like, if you didn't finish with an award, what can you do next year to make sure that you put yourself in position to win again, or put yourself in that winning position? And like, what do you need to do enough of to make sure that you actually win it? That's what I challenge the industry with for next year.
Agree 100%. I have nothing more to add to that.
Of course he doesn't. That's Gerhard. We're going to wrap this up here. If you guys have any predictions on 2020, make sure you go ahead and you comment via our social channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. You can subscribe to the podcast. iTunes, Spotify, watch via YouTube. Otherwise, fitnessinformant.com, at fitnessinformant, pretty much on every channel. Gee, it's great to see you. Nice headband. Nice headband.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's the
What about
most
the
beautiful.
shirt?
And the shirt. Not paid
Unbiased.
for, by the way. Unbiased. All right, everybody. Hang loose. Take care. We'll see you next time.